Hello, my name's Gill Phillips and I'm the creator of Whose Shoes. Whose Shoes is a board game that looks at issues from different perspectives and gets people talking together. Now, normally that's in a room with people sitting around the table, having fun, having a bit of cake together. So when the pandemic hit, we thought, what are we going to do? Is it possible to take this approach online? Well, basically that's been the story of 2020. And in order to kind of get virtual Whose Shoes off the ground, we started to collect really good examples of things that had happened, good stuff during the pandemic, things that a whole range of people, NHS, communities, social care, just people really were doing to make a difference to people's lives during the pandemic. So really that's been the story of virtual Whose Shoes. And I've told it in various ways, including a big presentation at the NHS Fab Change Day in October. But in order to kind of give you a feel of what we've been doing, I thought it would be fun to do an Advent series with different good practice, great things that we've discovered during our work this year, giving people a platform to talk for a couple of minutes each day as an Advent series to see where this goes. So anyone who knows me will know this isn't all pre-planned, and there's still plenty of scope. If you've got something that you'd like to share, we'll try and drop it into the Advent series. So wish us luck. Here goes. This is day one. Thank you.
I'm Dr. Rachael Grimaldi, NHS anaesthetist and founder of CardMedic, a free digital tool designed to improve communication between frontline healthcare staff and patients no matter the barrier, whether that's visual, hearing or cognitive impairment, a language barrier or PPE or personal protective equipment, such as a face mask, visor or hoods. I'm currently on maternity leave with 3 very small children and have been unable to return to work early in the pandemic, but have been desperate to do something to help. I came across an article in the news about a patient who'd been to intensive care with coronavirus and described feeling terrified when he couldn't understand anything the healthcare staff were saying to him through the PPE. I thought, how could this barrier to communication be overcome? What about if I replicated those conversations that take place around common healthcare topics? And I came up with an A to Z list of topics and made those digital, so staff could access a website and show the patient the screen, and then the patient could communicate back and forth. Within 72 hours of concept, CardMedic.com was launched, and then within 10 days we had an app. And within 3 weeks we had 8,000 users in 50 countries, and within 3 months, 40,000 users in 120 countries. It's multilingual, and we've been working with London-based Inclusive Fruit to convert it to British Sign Language, and with a communication charity Include, as well as a group of speech and language therapists and learning disability nurses from across the UK to convert it into easy read English.
I'm James from Inclusive Fruit. We're so proud to be partnering with CardMedic and translating the thousands of flashcards that are so important for communication here in the UK and around the world into British Sign Language. Inclusive Fruit's ethos is to bring information, education and entertainment to the masses and be inclusive in the way that we do it.
I'm Alex Lewis, Director of Include.org, a charity supporting people with understanding and speaking difficulties or communication needs. Up to 1 in 5 people in the UK has a communication need, and it can have dire consequences on all aspects of life. That's why we're working with CardMedic to develop an accessible version of the CardMedic app for two-way communication to be supported, for rights to be respected, and for lives to be saved.
We're now trying to work out how to put CardMedic onto more of a sustainable footing so it survives beyond the pandemic. So please do get in touch, we're always looking for feedback. It's cardmedic.com or otherwise on Twitter @CardMedic. Thank you very much.
Hello everyone, my name is Rachael Wong and I'm going to talk about lockdown literacy and introduce you to Parmo, the naughty sausage dog, who is the hero of Parmo to the Rescue, a lockdown story written with Middlesbrough children and illustrated by them during lockdown. And I know a lot of you watching this video will work in the NHS, so I wanted to firstly show you some of the fantastic pictures that Middlesbrough children have drawn that are included in the final book, which really show how much they value and say thank you to everybody in the NHS. The book started as a series of videos during lockdown in May. Every day I wrote a new chapter, and children would have the opportunity on Facebook to leave their comments and suggestions for the next chapter. And there were three reasons for doing this. Firstly, to keep children engaged in literature during lockdown. Secondly, it was something that families could do together, and we had lots of lovely feedback about families sitting, listening to the story together and suggesting what could happen next as a family. And the third reason was to have a written record of what lockdown was like from a child's perspective. And I used lots of material from local friends, from teachers, and obviously the material that the children were giving me on Facebook every day. When the videos were finished, Middlesbrough Council produced a lovely booklet of the story with spaces for the children to draw in. And then those drawings could be entered into a competition. And we ran this competition for children in Middlesbrough to have their illustrations in the final book. And this is the final book that was produced, working all the way through alongside the Middlesbrough Reads team as part of the National Literacy Trust. And of the print run that we've got, half of those books will be given to competition winners, schools and libraries, and the other half will be sold in a local independent bookshop to raise money for the Middlesbrough Reads Literacy Project. So that is the story of Parmo to the rescue. Thank you very much for listening, and that is the end.
Hello, my name is Kathleen Roche Nagi. I'm Managing Director of Approachable Parenting. It's an honour to be here with you today, and thank you Who Shoes for asking me to do this video. During lockdown, we reached the hard to hear BME communities. We were very privileged to be able to help them, and I want to tell you today about how we did that. During the first week of lockdown, we started putting out social media videos and messages to be able to reach those communities. In April, we set up our first antenatal WhatsApp group, and within 2 hours we had 60 pregnant mums on it. The issues, the anxieties, the worries, the fears were huge. We were privileged to have some excellent midwives and professionals monitoring that group. We also put on or opened our postnatal group in May, and now weekly we do Zoom sessions for both groups, either talking about antenatal topics or postnatal topics, or mental health, or physiotherapy issues. So there's lots happening on those groups. And I'd just like to tell you of the changes that has happened over the time. Last week, I was quite busy and wasn't able to monitor the group. And when I opened it, I saw within a couple of hours, there was 200 plus messages. And I started to get worried, what's happening? But when I read through these messages, I became very excited and really happy for the mums on the group. One mum had posted that she had reduced fetal movements. Now, way back in April, that would have been a problem. But what happened was the mums themselves were telling her, you need to go to triage, and explained what triage was, and even got the phone number of the triage service for her so that she could ring it and make an appointment. And then the messages followed through as she went in and had her scan, and everything was okay. So it's wonderful to see how mothers now that were anxious and worried in the beginning are now able to support each other. Thank you.
Hello, my name's Florence, otherwise known as the OBspod. So in December 2019, I heard an inspirational talk by a woman who runs a podcast about fertility, otherwise known as Fertility Poddy. She told me that it was really easy to start a podcast, and I thought I might give it a try because I always love talking. I've done a lot of work in maternity experience, and I thought this might be a way of reaching a new audience of both women and professionals working in maternity care. To start my podcast, the first thing I did was obviously listen to a podcast series about how to make a podcast. I was a bit daunted by the technical side of things. I'm not a very techie person, as Gill, Whose Shoes will tell you, but I managed to work out how to download some software which was completely free, buy myself a mic and get going. So this was a little glint in my eye, and I was thinking about it all the way from December. And my plan originally was to start it in the summer of 2020. But then, lo and behold, in March, we were locked down. It was quite stressful and difficult working during the pandemic. And actually, I thought, I'll get on and start my podcast. Everyone's trapped in their houses. Everyone wants entertainment. Everyone wants something to listen to. And I thought it would be something positive for me to be doing in my days off. So I started the OBspod, and I've never looked back. I do an episode every week on a Saturday. I'm almost up to episode 35. I've discovered that home birth is my most popular episode with over 400 downloads, and I'm now at 5,500 downloads in all. I'm finding that there is, the dog's put me off by squeaking her toy. I'm finding that there's a wide variety of people listen, from midwives to women that I look after. And I'd really love you to take a listen, give me your thoughts and tell me what you think. Thank you for listening.
Hello, my name is Anna Geyer, and both Carrie Lewis and I work very closely with Gill Phillips to provide the graphic recording for her Whose Shoes workshops. So what have we been up to over the summer? Well, the challenge that we had was that when the pandemic took its full hit, all of our events were cancelled, which left us with some time on our hands. So we got our heads together and started thinking about how can we offer what we do in an online forum. So the first option is for us to join and do a live visual minute while the meeting is taking place, and that was relatively straightforward to achieve. So a nice big sheet of paper stuck on the wall. We join on any platform using two devices, one that shows the presentations and speakers and the other one that's focused on us working. But we thought we may be able to extend that offer and think of a different way of doing it. And that's what the summer has afforded us, is that time to think about how we can do that. So we have transferred our skills to doing some digital synthesis, making a visual minute on a digital tablet. We use iPads, and that transfer from what we do so naturally with pens and paper has been our biggest challenge in terms of how can we get what we want it to look like in a digital image. It's been a steep learning curve, but we're really pleased with the results. So now we have two really solid offers, one that provides a visual minute live as the conversation takes place, and the second one is a more reflective piece that is completed digitally, that synthesises the key messages and presents them back to you, possibly using a visual metaphor for you to be able to think about what actions need to take place. I've got some examples here for you.
Hi, I'm Leanne, and I run a peer support service by your side for parents experiencing perinatal mental illness. And I think particularly for our parents, it's been a difficult year. I mean, it has for everybody, but obviously experiencing perinatal mental illness alongside the anxiety of a pandemic and the isolation that brings, the uncertainty that brings, the lack of control that brings, has been really hard for them. And I think it's been a time they need us more than ever, and a time where we've really had to try and come through that and find other ways of working so that we can still be with them even though we can't physically be there with them. And back in May, we were supposed to have our annual perinatal mental health awareness walk, which is an annual event we run, and usually it'd be a grand affair. We'd have huge events village with a 5k walk, and just a day really celebrating what support there is for parents and recognising that, and raising awareness so that parents know what support is available in their local area, where they can go to get it, and a little bit more about it if they don't know. And I think this year it was more important than ever to raise awareness that there would be parents struggling in their local community that would need that support. And so it felt important to still mark the day in some way, even though we couldn't go ahead with the actual planned event as it was. So we held a socially distanced awareness walk where we asked local people to walk 1 mile, not even local people, just people to walk 1 mile for with a message for parents that might be struggling at that time to help us raise awareness. And we asked everyone to use their daily exercise to do that because we were in the first lockdown, and we had a phenomenal amount of images, videos come through from our local community, which we made into a montage, which we then put out on social media as a way to try and offer support and encouragement to our parents. And I'm not going to lie, the first time I watched the video, it really did make me quite emotional, because I think it was a real tribute of what of the support as a community we can offer to parents locally. So I think that was our biggest achievement in COVID times, really.
Hi everyone, how special is this? It's day 8 of our Advent series, and we're showcasing the wonderful volunteers at London Ambulance Service, which we used as a scenario in one of our series during the summer.
I'm Cornelius Wilson, 30 years old, from South London, born and bred. My day job is I'm an airline pilot based at Heathrow, and COVID has obviously had a big impact on the aviation industry at the moment, so I'm not doing much flying at the moment, so pretty much doing this full time now.
My name's Ben, I'm 24, I've been doing this for 3 years. My day job is I'm a freelance musician, so I play French horn in orchestras, but obviously there's not much happening in the arts industry at the moment, so I'm pretty much doing this full time. During the coronavirus pandemic, the LAS have upskilled emergency responders.
So whereas we're on the car, we're doing a lot of the similar patient-facing side of things with our patients. On the ambulance, on the bigger ambulance, we're often conveying to hospital a lot more, so there's a lot more interaction with the wider part of the NHS. You're seeing more of the journey that the patient faces.
Working on the trucks especially is a really good opportunity for us as volunteers to learn much more from the full-time staff. So we've been paired up with emergency ambulance crew, paramedics. It's a really good opportunity for us to pick their brains and to learn more.
I think emotionally it could have its toll. Like you're seeing a lot. You're seeing people in some really vulnerable states, and you're seeing people who unfortunately may not see family members again, and people who unfortunately aren't going to make it through this tough time. So I think it's a lot of reflection really when you go home.
Obviously COVID has had such a big impact on the arts as well. It's really nice to be able to use this time to give something back and to work for the London Ambulance Service.
As someone who's grown up in London, is be able to just help out on the ground, treating people, and sometimes when they're most vulnerable, being able to just help them and offer that reassurance really at their most greatest time in need.
Hello from the music therapy team at Chelsea and Westminster Hospital. I'm Louise, and I'm one of the 8 music therapists that work at the Trust. The main part of our work is based in 3 child development services across the boroughs. We support preschool children with significant developmental needs and their families, and we also work in maternity care. Music therapy is based on understanding that no matter what your level of ability, everybody has an innate capacity to respond to and make music, using creative and live musical play, which is child-led, so just responding to them. Our work's always involved families, both in the therapy room and outside. So when the pandemic hit, after lots of thinking and talking with different families, most of our work moved online, offering video therapy sessions. For some families, regular phone call check-ins were more appropriate. And I've got to say, a lot of the children completely blew my expectations of what was possible with making music online. During the pandemic, our focus has been on equipping and supporting families directly in their homes, and in response to parent feedback, we also made a resource pack with practical musical interaction games that they can play. We've created a series of videos as well of demonstrations of these, and also become more active on our Twitter page, adding every Monday a new #Monday Mornings motivational music video for our families. We have strived to support families to incubate rather than isolate. And within our work in maternity care, we've also created a series of videos, each one focusing on a simple musical technique for new mums and families to do at home to support their babies and their new relationships growing. We're also working on a playlist and recording some music for the midwives' desks in the wards. We were also very excited to receive a grant towards our Sing and Shake kits, which are interactive music therapy kits available to send to families in our service. And these will have pairs of instruments in and also resource cards on a keyring to use at home in music therapy, but also in their home environment and daily routines. Our aim is to support families in using music to respond to their child and have fun.
Hello, my name is Tom Roberts. I perform under the name Tomfoolery, and I'm delighted to be part of the Whose Shoes Advent series. So for my contribution, I'm going to share with you a little excerpt of a reading of The Great Realization, which is a poem I recorded during lockdown to try and encourage people to find the good that is coming out of this really difficult year. I hope you enjoy it. Tell me the one about the virus again, then I'll go to bed. But my boy, you're growing weary, sleepy thoughts about your head. Please, that one's my favourite. I promise, just once more. Take me back to 2020. That's all I'm asking for. But then, in 2020, a new virus came our way. The governments reacted and told us all to hide away. But while we all were hidden, amidst the fear, and all the while, we dusted off our instincts. We remembered how to smile. We started clapping to say thank you and calling up our mums, and while the car keys gathered dust, we would look forward to our runs. And with the skies less full of voyagers, the earth began to breathe. The beaches bore new wildlife that scuttled off into the seas. Some people started dancing, some were singing, some were baking. We'd grown so used to bad news, but there was good news in the making. Old habits became extinct and they made way for the new. And every simple act of kindness was now given its due. So when we found the cure and were allowed to go outside, we all preferred the world we found to the one we'd left behind. But why did it take a virus to bring the people back together? Well, sometimes you get sick, my boy, before you start feeling better. Now lie down and dream of tomorrow and all the things that we can do. And who knows, if you dream hard enough, maybe some of them will come true. We now call it The Great Realization, and yes, since then there have been many, but that's the story of how it started, and why hindsight's 2020. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you enjoyed this story. Take care.
We wish you a Merry Christmas.
We wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Hi, my name's Nadine Anderson. I'm here today with my colleagues Eileen O'Sullivan and Claire Townsend, and we're specialist health visitors for parent and infant mental health working across Coventry and Warwickshire. This year has been a really challenging year for many, and we want to tell you about some of the work that we've been doing to adapt to the pandemic.
So we predominantly work with VIG, Video Interactive Guidance, which we had to take very quickly into the virtual world. So we use it on a virtual platform, which many parents have actually said has got lots of positives. We're much more flexible, we're much more accessible for the clients. So it's something that will be taken forward once we're outside of the pandemic.
So ultimately, this is a video just to really check in with everybody and say we're still here. So although we're working in a really different way, we're still virtually accessible. And as Claire mentioned, people have still found the service really impactful and really powerful. So just know if you are struggling, get in contact with your health visiting team or the specialist health visiting service, and we can offer support. Across Coventry and Warwickshire, health visiting services are still accessible. So just contact your local health visiting team or Chat Health, and we will be there to support you for the festive season, the pandemic and beyond. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
My Lilley sent to me 2 shoes and a fab conference virtually. On the 3rd day of Christmas, Roy Lilley sent to me 3,000 attendees, 2 shoes and a fab conference virtually. On the 4th day of Christmas, Roy Lilley sent to me 50 sessions, 3,000 attendees, 2 shoes and a fab conference virtually. On the 5th day of Christmas, why Lilley sent to me 125 million impressions, 450 sessions, 3,000 attendees, 2 Who's Shoes, and a fab conference virtually. On the 6th day of Christmas, why Lilley sent to me 60 gross minutes of home first with Lissy, 125 million impressions, 450 sessions, 3,000 attendees, 2 shoes, and a fab conference virtually. On the 7th day of Christmas, my Lilley sent to me 7 days of prepping to be fabulous, 60 glorious minutes of home first with Lissy, 125 million impressions, 450 sessions, 3,000 attendees, 2 Who's Shoes, and a fab conference virtually. On the 8th day of Christmas, my Lilley sent to me 118 million tweets, 7 days of prepping to be fabulous, 60 glorious minutes of home first with Lissy, 125 million impressions, 450 sessions, 3,000 attendees, 2 Who's Shoes, and a fab conference virtually.
We have always used poems in Who's Shoes. They resonate strongly with people and help them see things differently. We have written lots of new poems during the pandemic, written by me, Gill Phillips, written by others, and even co-produced live on Zoom. So here, written as part of our virtual Who's Shoes Learning from COVID series, this is my Building the Future poem.
Building the Future. A global pandemic. There is no question we were scared. But with fantastic team working, we came together because we cared.
In some ways it was refreshing, a weird kind of blessing. We were able to be bold, to ditch things that left us cold.
Targets for the sake of targets, counting for the sake of beans, filling endless paperwork like soulless machines.
With rapidly changing guidelines, new procedures every day, we tackled huge challenges and always found a way.
We surprised ourselves, responsive and reactive, sharing and learning, a rare chance to be proactive. Our clinical skills recognised, self-motivated, energised. What is best for this patient, this situation, now?
Do you need to take a break? Listening with compassion, feeling valued and cared for, staff and patients, everyone.
How did it happen we were so remiss that it took a pandemic to appreciate this?
The stifling bureaucracy has lifted, the power has shifted, and if there's one thing we know, we must never let this go.
Over the years, we have done a lot of work in Who's Shoes about language, the importance of good communication, clear, simple, no jargon, but also aware of what it's like to be the recipient, perhaps feeling patronised, unsure about acronyms, excluded. But a new aspect that has come to the fore during the pandemic is messaging. The power involved in leaving a casual message on an answer machine. How will a scared person hear it? Will the system deliver what you're actually promising? My friend Dorothy's experience of her husband's heart problems resonated with me, and I wrote a poem. If your call is urgent.
If your call is urgent, well, it's urgent to me. I don't phone the doctor normally. Perhaps I'm making a fuss and shouldn't be calling the GP. Messaging is so important, and the importance of getting it right when people are scared. They will hear the same words but bathed in a negative light. The message on the answering machine sounds straightforward to you, designed for what you call screening, but telling me I should not be phoning. That my medical problem is moaning, quite a different meaning. A lot of people are self-isolating and will hear your message alone. Please think of them and what they will experience when you leave a message on your phone.
Hello everybody, I'm Fazana Hussain, your GP of the Year and GP in Newham and co-chair of the National Primary Care Network at the NHS Confederation, and we're doing the Whose Shoes Advent Calendar 2020 and this is day 15, and gosh, what a year it's been with the pandemic for all of us. Some of the great things that have come out of the pandemic though have been the amazing changes that general practice has made. So at the Project Surgery, where I'm a partner, we managed to go to online consultations in just 3 days, and this has really helped our patients have 24/7 access to us now, 7 days a week, not 5 days a week, and no having to fight through on the phones to get an appointment. And it does mean that our phones are quieter now for those that really need it. We've also done a drive-through clinic where our babies are getting their injections safely, and we're only having 2-minute contact rather than 10 minutes so that we can keep people safe from that COVID risk. And we've been using that model for our flu injections as well. And of course, we are entering a really busy but most exciting week for general practice with having finally a COVID vaccination, and we'll be rolling that out this week, particularly in Newham. I'm very excited about that, and we've been working hard all weekend. So let's stay safe, remember to social distance, wear your mask and wash those hands, and have a very happy Christmas and festive time. Whatever religion you are, let's keep each other safe, and a very happy new year to you. Bye.
I was not known as someone who would leap out of bed. I'm plain grumpy first thing, it has to be said. Doing PE with Joe Wicks at 9 in the morning was definitely not for me, I told them yawning. But my mad sisters and their families were having fun on Zoom. I could see them all laughing, jumping round the room. Come on, Carrie. So finally on day 5, I joined my first session and finished barely alive. Every joint, every muscle was painful and sore. I thought, this is crazy, I'm not doing this anymore. But because everyone was doing it together, I kept showing up. It was only 30 minutes, I could go back to bed, but I felt alert, energised, motivated instead. We laughed, we moaned, there was a real team spirit. I competed with my nephew, I was keen to win it. We flexed newfound muscles, we had banter and jibes, but all around we had healthy, positive vibes. I've gone from being lazy, old before my time, to proud of my waistline, feeling in my prime. Happier, mentally and physically stronger. Perhaps the lockdown should last a bit longer.
Hello, my name's Helen Hughes. I'm Chief Exec of Patient Safety Learning, and Gill from Whose Shoes has kindly asked me to provide one of the Advent comments of the year. So we are an independent charity that promotes learning, sharing knowledge and how-to resources for patient safety. And we've been collaborating with Gill during the year and her amazing team to promote the change that's needed for staff safety, both physical and psychological safety. And we've been highlighting on our Learning Hub a number of the reports during the year that shows how much more we need to do to improve patient safety. The Cumberledge report was a shocking indictment of thousands of women over many years needing to highlight the pain, anxiety, distress and impact on their lives of unsafe care, and they struggled to work to find the system's response to that. Dame Julia Cumberledge talked about the necessity of patients having to join the dots for their own safety. And on our learning platform, the Hub, we're highlighting and working with campaigning groups for similarly where their voices are not being listened to or listened to enough to respond with action for change. So particularly working with the groups for people living with long COVID and for pain-free hysteroscopy. But it's been a positive year too. At a global level, for the first time, the G20 Declaration on Health included the importance of patient safety. So hopefully we will get the leadership attention internationally and nationally for improvements. Improvements like sharing the information the academic health science networks have done for improving care during COVID. But what I'd like you to celebrate and share is our hub, our learning platform that has had over 400,000 page views since we launched it over a year ago. Please do join us on the hub, contribute, learn, share and improve patient safety. Thank you.
Hello, my name's Carolyn Jenkinson. I'm one of the heads of inspection at the Care Quality Commission and I'm a nurse and I live in Derbyshire. But in the pandemic, I went to work for a while in London as part of the multi-agency pandemic response team. And that involved going out into the community with the police and the fire authority, and we went to verify deaths of people with suspected COVID, and then the police would check that there were no suspicious circumstances, and then we would prepare the deceased body so that it was prepared in a safe way for the funeral directors to come in and get that body. It was a really surreal experience, something that I've never experienced anything like that before. But it was a really worthwhile thing to do, and it was particularly important for me living up in Derbyshire, where at that time in the first wave of the pandemic we weren't particularly badly hit, but yet I knew that London was struggling, and could hear the sort of things were happening, and I just felt I wanted to go and leave Derbyshire and go and help. Where I live in Derbyshire, in the village that I live in, we decorate windows at Christmas, and I've decorated my window as a tribute to London, and also as a tribute to all of those people that I saw that had died during the time and the work that I did. I think it's a really, it's not particularly a very Christmassy window, but it's something that means an awful lot to me, and just represents our wonderful capital city and what happened in the early part of the pandemic. So I hope you like the window. Thanks.
Hello, my name is Sarah Espen, and I'm a mother of three and the chair of a Maternity Voices partnership in London. And I want to tell you about the amazing Beyond Birth Living Library peer support programme that I've been involved with from the start, and which went live at the beginning of last year. So it's a programme intended to provide support for new parents who had experienced a difficult birth by pairing them up with somebody who'd had a similar experience, who would meet with them face to face a few times and give them space to discuss their experience and whatever they needed. So when the pandemic hit, we realised we had to radically change what we were doing. We had to move from face to face to virtual, which everybody's experience of using Zoom or Teams really helped with. And this move to virtual support meant that we could also change who this support was offered to. Suddenly there was no postcode limitations because we could put people in touch across different parts of the country. We also changed the time limit. So we'd originally aimed to offer it just to people who had made it to 8 weeks past the birth, but now it can be any time after birth. And we also widened the criteria, realising that there was a huge need for support. So it's now available for any parents who would like to talk to another parent who's a bit further ahead than they are. So no judgment on our part about the birth experience or the parenting experience. And it's similarly been widened for those who provide the support as well. Just an amazing opportunity. So I'm going to share the website with you. So if you're interested in having support or in providing support, please go and check out the website. It's an amazing thing that you could do. Thank you.
The Buzz by Community Catalysts, our response to COVID-19. The Buzz is a collection of videos. All the videos are made by fantastic community enterprises who've worked with community catalysts across the country. Videos have activity ideas and accessible things that people can do at home to stay active, engaged and inspired. The Buzz is hosted on a dedicated, moderated Facebook group and on our Small Good Stuff website. We've been sharing videos each week with a different activity to try, all made by some of the brilliant community enterprises who've been supported by Community Catalyst projects across the country. The great thing about the videos is their variety. So far we've featured 21 art activities, 20 dance videos, 18 exercise sessions, 15 cooking tutorials and lots more. We've learnt to juggle, we've learnt to play the ukulele, to dance disco style, to paint like Picasso and to bake fairy cakes. Like our Facebook group members, the community enterprises featured are based all across the UK, including Birmingham, Rotherham, Nottinghamshire, Oldham, Hertfordshire, Dunstable, Lancashire and Rochdale. We would like to say a huge thank you to all the amazing community enterprises who have joined us on the bus. They've adapted what they do, learnt how to capture their work in video form, rolled up their sleeves and kept us all busy and inspired over this challenging time. Thank you. We couldn't have made the bus without you.
I'm Sunitha Sharma. I'm a consultant obstetrician and gynecologist. And through the pandemic, we have been working to support the NHS England initiative to provide 6 to 8 week maternal health check after the birth. As the pandemic evolved and our confidence in using virtual meetings, collaborations got better, we were able to network with GPs with special interest and maternity services to bring together webinars for GPs to support the maternal check. So far run 2 webinars which have been attended by over 100 GPs in London, and with the extremely encouraging and positive feedback that we've had, we plan to run these every month, one event, and the next one is booked for 8th of January. So there's a lot that we can do by using technology to help us through this, supporting each other.
Hi, my name is Katie Eves and I'm a midwife and I'm also a nurse, and I'm now working as a nurse lecturer. So I'm doing this video today for Whose Shoes as part of the Advent series, and that is to read out a poem that I wrote earlier on this year. So I'm one of the many people that were redeployed this year to go and work in intensive care, and when I was redeployed, I was quite moved by the whole team effort that was going on, by everybody that was working there, that came from all corners of my hospital, all corners of the NHS, that pulled together to make this huge concerted effort to save lives and to look after the people that were really sick and really unwell, and it really was quite something to be part of, and I feel really quite humbled to have been part of it. So inspired by this, I wrote a poem, which I'm going to read to you now. And this poem is for all the staff that are still working in ITU now. It's been a really tough year for everybody, and just to say that me and so many other people are all thinking of everybody still working in the ITUs. So this is my poem. It's called No Hierarchy. We came to ICU from every corner of the NHS: teachers, nurses, physios, doctors, midwives, anaesthetists and more. No hierarchy, just people. With smiles behind masked faces, the heart and soul of the NHS, kindness and compassion for all and everyone. No hierarchy, just people. Thank you for listening, and I hope everybody has a very happy Christmas, and a happy Christmas to you, Gill, and to Flo as well. Okay, bye-bye.
If I said to you, what do a pair of chopsticks and a cake tin remind you of, what would it be? For me, we all know that Gill Phillips is a bundle of ideas and actions, and she let me into the community that you're all part of this year, which was really inspiring. GPs in London, nurses in the US, all sorts of health workers all over the country doing amazing things, so that when I look at my NHS and carers sign in the window now, I think of all of you, and I wanted to just give you a personal thanks. Oh yeah, the chopsticks, there was a virtual song at the end of one of their video sessions, and I played Hello, I'm Trevor Howard, and I want to tell you about this bottle of wine. So in this year of all years, I haven't had a role, I've just been part of the community. When it was the first lockdown, we couldn't go anywhere, we couldn't drive, I live on my own, I thought, what on earth am I going to do? Luckily, I found a volunteer group locally. We got involved in delivering medicines and shopping and other things to people who were shielding. All of a sudden, I could go out, speak to people, even drive the car, and the people I met were absolutely amazing. I remember one lady who thought I was trying to sell her a bathroom rather than deliver a prescription. Another one who asked for my advice about whether a home hairdresser would be able to visit again once COVID had gone away. A guy who asked what I was doing on the basis that he'd run out of ideas of things to do, and could I give him some advice? So all of these people were big help to me. It was really lovely to meet them all, helped to get me through, and I've got some great memories of them. And this bottle of wine is a little gift from the local GP to say thanks for supporting them. And on Christmas Day, when I sit down to my lunch, I'll be opening this wine and drinking it and thinking of all of them. Merry Christmas.
Our Learning from COVID virtual Whose Shoes series during the summer of 2020 gave us the chance to showcase lots of wonderful initiatives helping people during the pandemic, including many community initiatives. Here, Emily tells us more about the online sessions she set up to help her brother Tom, who has Down syndrome, and his friends, and how this has now spread and helped many more people.
As soon as we went into lockdown, I was worried my brother Tom, who has Down syndrome, would become socially isolated. I wanted to find a way to help him stay connected with his friends, so I set up some online chat sessions. The groups have been very popular, and it has been very lovely to see the young people finding new skills and confidence. I'm now running similar sessions across the country, and I intend to continue them after the pandemic.
Emily's sessions have been amazing. They've really helped to get us through this lockdown experience, a real lifeline.
I love Emily's sessions because I go to my friends and it's really fun.
Emily has continued running these sessions for support groups and also now extended to individuals with Down syndrome who don't access support groups. She is now hosting some super Christmas parties for young people across the UK. These all come under the auspices of the Ups of Downs, a fantastic charity making a difference in so many ways.
Unfortunately, there's only one of me, so I don't know how I'm going to do that. Unless... Calypso, 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 calypso. Take a rhythm, take a rhythm, take a rhythm, take a rhythm. Shake a rhythm, shake a rhythm. Here is what you can do. Anytime you need a calypso, here is what you can do. First of all, you take a rhythm and shake a little, shake a little, shake a little, shake, and you bang a drum and then sing and strum, and then there's a calypso for you. Anytime you need a calypso, here is what you can do. First of all, you take a rhythm and shake a little, shake a little, shake a little, shake it, and you bang a drum, and then sing and strum, and then there's a calypso for you. Anytime you need a calypso, here is what you can do. First of all, you take a rhythm, and there's a calypso for you.
On the first day of Christmas, my music therapist gave to me the idea of a copying song.
On the second day of Christmas, my music therapist gave to me the idea of making some instruments at home.
On the third day of Christmas, my MT gave to me the idea of making up a bedtime song to sing to your little one each night.
On the fourth day of Christmas, my MT gave to me the idea of adding some Macatron signs to your child's favourite nursery rhyme.
On the fifth day of Christmas, my music therapist gave to me the idea of a dressing song to help your little one. On the sixth day of Christmas, my MT gave to me the idea of listening to your favourite music together and having a dance.
On the seventh day of Christmas, my MT gave to me the idea of copying or mirroring even the smallest vocal or breathing sounds that your little one makes.
On the 8th day of Christmas, my MT gave to me the idea of making up a song about what your little one is playing with.
On the 9th day of Christmas, my MT gave to me the idea of singing a familiar song and leaving spaces to see if your little one can fill in the words or give you a sign that they want you to continue.
On the 10th day of Christmas, my MT said to me, why don't we try making music with household objects together?
On the 11th day of Christmas, my MT gave to me the idea of using physical movements in an already familiar song.
On the 12th day of Christmas, my MT gave to me the idea of giving your little one the choice of 2 songs by offering 2 toys.